45 from the Common English Bible. I believe that the present suffering is nothing compared to the coming glory that is to be revealed to us. The whole creation waits breathless and with anticipation for the revelation of God's sons and daughters. Creation was subjected to frustration, not by its own choice. It was the choice of the one who subjected it. But in the hope of that creation itself will be set free from slavery to decay and brought to the glorious freedom of God's children. We know that the whole creation is groaning together in suffering, labor, pains up until now. And it's not only the creation. We ourselves have the Spirit as the first crop of the harvest also grown inside as we wait to be adopted and for our bodies to be set free. We were saved in hope. If we see what we hope for, that isn't hope. Who hopes for what they already see? But if we hope for what we don't see, we wait for it with patience. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
Thanks be to God.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So you all made it here after Thanksgiving-geddon. I'm so glad to see you all. Welcome to this, the first Sunday of Advent. Now, at Park Hill, as well as many other churches, we follow the Revised Common Lectionary, and that organizes worship into 3 years: A, B, and C. Pretty creative, right? Right? And then they organize each year into 7 seasons. So there's Advent, Christmas, Epiphany, Lent, Holy Week, Easter, and then the season after Pentecost. 7 seasons. So last week, we finished an entire cycle of the liturgical year. And as of today, we are on year A of Advent. You know what that means? It means Happy New Year! Now, to be clear, the first Jesus followers didn't say, "Welcome to the first Sunday of Advent." And while scholars cannot pinpoint an exact date as to when Advent began, some date it back to the Council of Tours of 567, where monks were ordered to fast every day in December until Christmas. And you know why? Because monks used to drink a lot of beer. They had a lot of beer. So besides fasting, other practices became associated with Advent as well. Things like keeping an Advent calendar. Some of you may do that with your kids, or lighting the Advent candle like we've done this morning, and we'll do every day or every Sunday until Christmas Eve, where we light the Christ candle. There's also praying an Advent daily devotional, which you can pick your copy up out in the foyer as you leave today. And then there's decorating for Christmas, a tradition sometimes known as hanging of the greens, which we will do during our second hour today, and you are all invited to join us. Then in 1963, minor changes were introduced, which meant that we were going to differentiate the spirit of Lent from the spirit of Advent, emphasizing Advent as a season of hope, right? Which brings us to today. Advent is a season observed in many Christian churches as a time of expectant waiting and preparation for the celebration of the birth of Jesus. Expectant waiting. The waiting is not passive. It is active. It is expectant. And now that you know a bit about Advent and how it came to be and how it has changed and how and why it is celebrated, I want to offer you a spiritual aspect of Advent. In her book, In Wisdom's Path, Jan Richardson, a pastor, author, and poet, details what she learned as she followed the seasons of the church. She writes about a nun, Sister Doris, who believed that Jesus may have been born in a cave. Richardson writes, "We all carry a cave, a hidden place within us into which God longs to be born. Advent is a season to enter that place, to turn inward and encounter the God who seeks to emerge through us." I like this for two reasons. First, it validates the caves I carry. My cave of fear is unlit and looming, and my cave of anxiety is frightening, and my cave of hope is something I get trapped in. And the second reason is that it is comforting to know that God is with me in those caves, waiting to give birth to something new, waiting to give birth to courage, to peace, to hope. A few weeks ago, when I started meditating about this sermon, I wondered why this particular Sunday was chosen for me to preach. My fear began to tell me I couldn't do it, and my anxiety caused me to have nightmares. I actually fainted in the pulpit in this nightmare. It was awful. And I didn't think that I knew enough about hope for a good hour-long sermon. Let's just see if you're still paying attention. See, now, I must confess that I am not a particularly hopeful person. Especially today, where truth is attacked, and bullying is applauded, and hate is being normalized, which is exactly why this topic is perfect for me. I needed to go into my cave of hopelessness and expectantly wait there so that God could emerge from the cave, so that I. Now, I began on a journey of hope. And it started when I met with my advisor, who told me that a good way to learn about a topic is to ask others what they believe or what they experience. So at our lectionary lunch, we talked about hope, and we had a great conversation about hope. And that conversation sparked a fire in me, and I wanted to know more. What is hope? Paul says we are saved in hope. If we see what we hope for, that isn't hope. Who hopes for what they already see? But if we hope for what we don't see, we wait for it with patience. We hope for what we don't see. I'm reminded of our mission, which is to work toward a world that is open, inclusive, just, and compassionate. We hope for and work toward things to come. Now, according to Google Dictionary, hope is a noun, which is a good thing because that means it's something we have and it's something we can give away. Google defines hope as a feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen. And then they use it in a sentence just so that you get exactly the correct meaning. They say, he looked through her belongings in the hope of coming across some information. How creepy is that type of hope? I mean, is that the type of hope that Paul talks about? The hope that will save us? I don't think so. But Wikipedia, of all places, has the best definition. Hope. It's an optimistic state of mind, based on an expectation of positive outcomes with respect to events and circumstances. And it's a verb. Hope is a verb. It's something we do. We hope. We are hoping. And it's funny because as I began to learn about hope, examples of hope started appearing everywhere. And they were much, much better than the Google example. So Pastor David posted an article about an activist, Scott Warren, who works with a humanitarian nonprofit organization providing basic necessities to migrants passing through the blazing desert that stretches through the southwestern United States. Scott Warren was charged with harboring undocumented migrants after he provided food, water, and shelter to two men who were traveling through the desert. But then, the jury found him not guilty. Do you feel the hope rising? And then this week, a man in Fort Collins wanted to make things easier for his neighbors during the snowstorm. Maybe you saw this story on 9 News. He took people to work. He pulled them out of the snow. He took one woman to the hospital for surgery, and then he took another one to get a prescription filled. He shoveled sidewalks and took firewood to people. This man gave hope to his neighbors. The East Colfax Neighborhood Association, they have established a fund to make reparation payments to the Native American tribes, the Ute, Cheyenne, and Arapaho peoples that once lived where the East Colfax neighborhood is located. And then here's the thing. The people in the East Colfax Neighborhood Association, they're not wealthy. They are people who live with the high risk of their own displacement due to gentrification and development. Still, this organization is giving hope to a displaced community. 5,888 people were given hope by Trinity United Church of Christ and the UCC's Justice and Local Church Ministries when they purchased and forgave close to $5.3 million in medical debt. And one member was so filled with hope after she received a letter from the UCC that she went to church and she donated the amount she received to the local food pantry so that she could spread hope to others. Hope is contagious. And then a restaurant owner in Dallas set up a coat, hat, and a scarf exchange outside of her business. And the sign above the coat rack reads, "Are you cold? Take one. Do you want help? Do you want to help? Leave one." See, because hope feels like a warm coat on a cold night. And then, Dr. Fiona Hill testified at the impeachment hearings, and she stood up for truth. She said, "I would ask that you not promote politically derived falsehoods that so clearly advance Russian interests. There are people who will speak truth to power and give hope to the rest of us that truth will prevail." So, as I emerge from my cave of hopelessness, full of hope, it's interesting because the more I looked for hope, the more I found it, and the more hopeful I became. See, hope is an emotion, and just like any other emotion, we can choose to feel it, and we can choose to engage it, right? It may ebb and flow, but we can be certain that it is present if we search for it. And when it does ebb and flow, as we know it will, we have the wonderful opportunity to go into our caves. Richardson says, when we turn inward, when we give ourselves to the shadows of unknowing, when we open ourselves to God, We are met by the one who will be a companion in the mystery and darkness. Advent is a holy season of waiting and watching, preparing and celebrating. And if you need hope, wait for it, watch it, and God will be present in your search. And if you have hope, if you're one of those lucky people that just naturally feel it, then I'm going to challenge you to go out and be a cultivator of hope. And as we move into this Advent season, I invite you to journey into your own caves. It's not as scary as it seems. And meet God there, and expectantly wait to see what will be co-created.